I never forgave my mother. That's the truth of it. She died in 1878, and I never forgave her. Never told her it was all right. Never said the words she wanted to hear. She's been gone 30 years now, and I still carry it. This anger, this hurt. It sits inside me like something living, something that won't die, won't fade. People say time heals all wounds, but I don't believe that. Some wounds stay fresh, stay raw, no matter how many years pass, and the worst part is knowing it's my fault. Not what she did, that was her fault, but the not forgiving, the holding on to it, that's on me. That's my sin, my burden, and I'll carry it to my grave just like she carried hers to hers. I was born in 1842, March the 3rd, a cold winter that year. My father said the snow was up past the windows, said he had to dig a path just to get to the barn. My mother labored hard with me, very hard. I was her first child, and I came difficult. Took near about 2 days. The midwife was worried. Sent for my grandmother. Sent for the doctor even though we couldn't afford it. My mother screamed. I heard the stories later. How she screamed and screamed, how the neighbors could hear it. How my father sat in the kitchen with his head in his hands, praying, begging God to let her live, to let the baby live, to let us both live. And we did, both of us. But something broke in my mother that day. Something never quite healed right. She couldn't have more children after me. The doctor said so. Said her insides were too damaged, too torn. So I was all she got, her only child. You'd think that would make her love me more, make her treasure me, but I don't think it did. I think maybe she resented me, blamed me for what happened to her body, for taking away her chance at more children, at sons, because that's what women wanted then, sons. And all she got was me, one daughter, one girl who nearly killed her coming into the world. We lived in Pennsylvania, a small town. I won't say which one. Doesn't matter anymore. Everyone from that time is long gone. The town probably doesn't even look the same. But back then it was just farms, small houses, dirt roads, a general store, a church. That was about it. My father was a farmer, worked land that belonged to someone else. We were tenant farmers, sharecroppers. That meant we were poor, very poor. Not that I knew it then. When you're a child, you don't know you're poor. You just know your life, your home, your family. You don't know other people have more until you're older, until you see it, until you understand what it means. Our house was small, 2 rooms, one for sleeping, one for everything else, cooking, eating, sitting, living. We had a fireplace. That's how we cooked, how we stayed warm in winter. My mother would hang a pot over the fire, make stew, make porridge, make whatever we had, which wasn't much. Potatoes mostly, turnips, cabbage, beans when we had them. Meat was rare. Christmas maybe. Easter if we were lucky. My father would slaughter a chicken and my mother would make it last. Make soup from the bones. Use every bit. Nothing wasted. Never. I slept in the same bed as my parents until I was near about 7 years old. That's how small the house was. One bed, all of us in it. My father on one side, my mother in the middle, me on the other side against the wall. I remember feeling squashed, wanting my own space, but there wasn't any. No room for wanting things. No room for complaints. You just did what you had to do. Made do with what you had. That's how everyone lived then. At least everyone we knew. My mother was a hard woman. I don't mean that cruel exactly, though she could be cruel, but hard, tough, strong in a way that wasn't soft, wasn't gentle. She had to be, I suppose. Life was hard. Being a farmer's wife was hard. Being poor was hard. She worked from before sunup to after sundown, every day, no days off, no rest. There was always something needing doing, cooking, cleaning, washing, mending, tending the garden, feeding the chickens, milking the cow when we had one, churning butter, making soap, making candles, preserving food for winter, on and on. The work never ended, never stopped. And she did it all with a grim face, a set jaw, tight lips. I don't remember her smiling much, don't remember her laughing. She wasn't that kind of woman, wasn't the warm kind, the soft kind, the kind who hugged you and kissed you and told you sweet things. No, she was the kind who did what needed doing, who survived, who expected you to do the same. My father was different, softer, kinder. He'd ruffle my hair when he came in from the fields, call me his little sparrow, tell me stories sometimes about when he was a boy, about his own father, about Ireland where his people came from. He'd left there as a child, came to America with his parents, looking for a better life. I'm not sure they found it, but at least they survived. That counted for something. He was a good man, my father, a gentle man, but tired, always so tired. Farming is hard work, especially when you don't own the land, when you're working for someone else, when most of what you grow goes to the landlord. He worked himself near to death every season, spring planting, summer tending, fall harvest, winter repairs, on, year after year. And what did he have to show for it? Not much. A roof over our heads. Food on the table? Barely. That was it. That was all his hard work bought us. I started helping my mother as soon as I was old enough to be useful. Maybe 4 or 5 years old. Little things at first. Feeding the chickens, gathering eggs, stirring the pot while she did other things. As I got older, the chores got bigger, harder. By the time I was 7, I was doing real work, hauling water from the well. That was heavy. My arms would ache. The bucket would bang against my legs, leave bruises. But I didn't complain. You didn't complain. My mother wouldn't have stood for it. She'd give you a look. That look. Cold. Hard. Disapproving. Or worse, she'd take a switch to you, hit you across the legs, the back, wherever the switch landed. She believed in discipline, in obedience, Children were to be seen and not heard, were to do as they were told. No back talk, no sass, no questions, just obedience. That's what she expected. That's what she demanded. And if you didn't give it, you'd pay. One way or another, you'd pay. I was scared of her. That's the truth. More scared of her than I ever was of my father. He might raise his voice sometimes, might tell me to mind better, but he never hit me, never looked at me with that cold disapproval. My mother, though, she could make you feel small with just a look, make you feel worthless, stupid, burdensome, like you were just one more thing she had to deal with, one more mouth to feed, one more body to clothe, one more responsibility in a life already too full of responsibilities. I don't think she wanted to be a mother. That's what I came to understand later, much later, when I was grown, had my own children. I understood then, understood that some women aren't meant for it, don't have that maternal instinct everyone talks about. My mother was one of those women. She did her duty, kept me fed, kept me clothed, kept me alive. But there was no warmth in it, no tenderness, no love that I could feel. Maybe she felt it somewhere inside. Maybe in her own way she loved me, but she never showed it, never said it, never made me feel it. And a child needs to feel loved, needs that warmth, that affection, that assurance that they matter, that they're wanted. I never had that, not from her, only from my father. And he was gone so much, working in the fields, working for the landlord, trying to keep us afloat. So mostly it was just me and my mother in that small house with all that silence between us, all that coldness. School I didn't get much of. There was a schoolhouse about 3 miles away, but I only went in winter when there wasn't farm work to be done, and even then not every day, if the weather was bad, if my mother needed help with something, if there was sickness, I'd stay home. So my education was spotty, irregular. I learned to read, though, not well, but enough. Learned to write my name, do simple arithmetic. That was more than my mother had. She couldn't read at all, couldn't write. Used to make her mark, an X, when she needed to sign something. I think that shamed her, being illiterate. In her day, girls didn't go to school much, especially poor girls. They worked. That's what they did. Worked at home, then married, then worked in their own homes, raising children, keeping house. That was a woman's lot. That was all they were meant for. But times were changing, even in our little town. Even in the 1840s and 50s, more children were going to school, learning to read, learning things. And I think my mother resented it. Resented that I could do something she couldn't, that I was getting something she never had. She never said so, but I felt it. The way she dismissed my schooling, say it was a waste of time, say I had better things to do, more important things, like helping her, like learning to keep house proper, like preparing to be a wife. 'Cause that's all I'd ever be, a wife, a mother. What did I need book learning for? When I was 10 years old, something happened. Something that changed things between me and my mother, made the coldness worse, made the distance greater. There was a girl in town. Her name was Hannah Morrison. She was the daughter of the storekeeper. They had money. Not rich exactly, but comfortable. More than us anyway. They lived in a proper house with separate rooms, real furniture, store-bought clothes. Hannah went to school regular, had her own books, her own slate. I admired her, envied her maybe. She was everything I wasn't, clean, pretty, well-dressed, confident. She didn't have to haul water or feed chickens or scrub floors until her hands were raw. She got to be a child, got to play, got to learn, got to have things. We became friends, sort of, as much as girls from different stations could be friends. She was kind to me, never looked down on me for being poor, for my patched dress, my worn shoes, my rough hands. We'd walk home from school together sometimes, talk about lessons, about the teacher, about other children. It was nice, having a friend, someone my own age to talk to. I didn't have siblings, didn't have cousins nearby, just me, always just me. So Hannah felt like something special, something precious, a connection to a different world, a better world, one I could only glimpse through her. One day Hannah invited me to her house after school to play, to have tea. Real tea with sugar and cream, and cake, store-bought cake. I'd never had such things, never been inside a house like hers. I wanted to go so badly, wanted to see how she lived, wanted to feel special, wanted to pretend just for a little while that I was like her, that I belonged in that world. So I said yes, I'd love to come. Thank you so much. But I had to ask my mother first, had to get permission. I knew that, knew I couldn't just not come home. She'd worry, or more likely she'd be angry. So I ran home, ran as fast as I could, found my mother in the garden, pulling weeds, her skirts dirty, her face sweaty, her hands black with soil. I told her about Hannah's invitation, told her about the tea, the cake, asked if I could go. Please, Mama, please, I'll do extra chores tomorrow, I'll do anything. Just please let me go, just this once. She looked at me, that cold look, that disapproving look, and she said no, just like that. No. No explanation, no reason, just no. I asked why. Why couldn't I go? What harm would it do? Hannah was my friend. Her mother said it was all right. I'd only be gone an hour or two. Please, please, Mama. And she got angry, told me not to beg, told me I had work to do, chores that needed doing. I couldn't go gallivanting around with storekeepers' daughters, putting on airs, acting like I was something I wasn't. I was a farmer's daughter, a poor girl. That was my place. That's where I belonged. Not in some fancy house drinking tea and eating cake. That wasn't for the likes of me. And I needed to accept that. Needed to know my place. Stop dreaming. Stop wanting things I couldn't have. It would only make me unhappy. only make me dissatisfied with my life. And dissatisfaction led to sin, led to coveting, led to bitterness. So no, I couldn't go. Now get back to work. We had weeds to pull, dinner to make. No more discussion. I cried. I couldn't help it. I was 10 years old and my heart was breaking over something so small, so simple, an invitation to tea. But to me it was everything. It was a chance to be something more, to feel special, to have a friend, a real friend. And my mother was taking it away, taking it for no good reason I could see, just to be cruel, just to remind me of my place, of how small I was, how unimportant, how I didn't deserve nice things, didn't deserve kindness, didn't deserve anything beyond work and duty and obedience. The next day at school I had to tell Hannah I couldn't come, had to make up some excuse, said my mother needed me, had too much work, maybe another time. Hannah was disappointed, said she understood, but I could tell she didn't really. How could she? She couldn't imagine a mother saying no to something so harmless, so innocent. In her world, mothers wanted their daughters to have friends, to be happy, to have tea parties. In my world, there was no room for such things, no room for happiness, only survival, only duty, only the hard, cold reality of being poor and having to work every moment just to get by. That was the first time I felt it, really felt it. Resentment toward my mother, not just fear, not just the desire to please her, to avoid her anger, but actual resentment, even hatred maybe, for being so hard, so cold, so determined to keep me small, keep me in my place, keep me from having anything good, anything soft, anything that might make life bearable. I didn't understand why she was like that, didn't understand what I'd done to make her so cruel. Was it my fault? Was I a bad daughter? Had I done something wrong? Was I being punished for something? For being born? For nearly killing her? For being a girl instead of a boy? I didn't know. Couldn't understand. Just knew that my mother didn't love me. Not the way mothers were supposed to love their daughters. Not the way I saw other mothers love their children. She tolerated me, fed me, clothed me, but didn't love me. And that hurt. Hurt more than any switching, more than any harsh word. That absence of love, that coldness where warmth should be. After that day, things were different between us. Or maybe I was just more aware of what had always been there. The distance, the coldness, the lack of affection. I stopped trying to please her, stopped hoping she'd smile at me, praise me, tell me I'd done well. I just did my chores, kept my head down, stayed out of her way, and counted the days until I could leave, until I could get married, have my own home, my own life, away from her, away from that cold disapproval, that constant reminder that I wasn't enough, would never be enough. Hannah and I stayed friends for a while, but it wasn't the same. She invited me again a few times. I always had to say no. Eventually, she stopped asking. We'd still talk at school, but the closeness was gone. The possibility? She had other friends, girls like her, girls who could come to tea, who belonged in her world. And I had no one, just myself, my chores, my cold mother, my tired father. That was my world, small and hard and lonely. When I was 14, a young man started courting me. His name was William Fletcher. He was 18, worked at the mill in town. He'd see me at church, smile at me, tip his hat. Eventually, he asked my father if he could call on me. My father said yes, asked me if I was agreeable. I said yes. Not because I particularly liked William, I barely knew him, but because it was a way out, a way to leave home, to get away from my mother, to have my own life. So yes, he could call on me. Yes, I was agreeable. William would come by on Sunday afternoons. We'd sit on the porch, me mother watching from inside, making sure nothing improper happened. We'd talk about nothing much, the weather, his work at the mill, my chores, church. It was awkward, stilted. I didn't know what to say to him, didn't know how to talk to boys, to men, had no experience with it, no sisters to learn from, no friends to giggle with and share secrets. Just me and this near stranger who wanted to marry me, who saw me as a way to start his own family, his own home. I was useful to him. That's what I was. Useful. Like a good plow horse or a sturdy milk cow. Something that would serve a purpose. Bear children, keep house, cook his meals, wash his clothes, warm his bed. That's what wives were for. That's what I'd be for. My mother approved of William, or at least didn't disapprove. He had a job, steady work. He was sober, didn't drink, didn't gamble, went to church. He'd make a decent husband, provide for me. That was enough. Love didn't enter into it. Compatibility, friendship, partnership. Those weren't things people talked about. You married for practical reasons, security, children, survival. That's what marriage was, a practical arrangement, an economic necessity. You learned to rub along together, make the best of it, and if you were lucky, if you were blessed, maybe something like affection would grow over time, but maybe not. Maybe you'd just endure, like my mother endured. Like so many women endured, we courted for 6 months. Then William asked my father for my hand. My father said yes, asked me again if I was agreeable. Again I said yes. What else could I say? No? And do what? Stay home? With my mother? Forever? That wasn't a life. At least with William I'd have my own home, my own kitchen, my own bed. I'd be mistress of my own small domain. That was something. That was better than nothing. We were married in the fall of 1856. I was 14 years old. 14. Just a child, really. But that wasn't unusual then. Girls married young, had babies young, grew old young. That was just how it was. The ceremony was simple in the church. My father walked me down the aisle. My mother sat in the front pew, dry-eyed, stern-faced, watching me promise to love and honor and obey William Fletcher, to be his wife, his helpmeet, his subordinate. I wore a dress my mother had made, gray wool, practical, durable, nothing fancy, nothing white and beautiful like rich girls wore, just gray wool, serviceable like me. After the ceremony, there was a small gathering at our house, some neighbors, William's family, food, not much, what we could afford. My mother had made cornbread, beans, some dried apples. There was no cake, no music, no dancing, just eating, talking. Then it was done. William and I left, walked to his rooms in town, above the bakery. That's where we'd live. 2 small rooms, one for sleeping, one for everything else. Just like where I'd grown up. Small, cramped, but ours. Our home. That first night. Our wedding night. I was terrified. I knew what was expected, what would happen. My mother had told me, in the most clinical terms possible, what a man does, what a wife submits to, how it's necessary for children, for the marriage act, but that it hurts, especially the first time, that there's blood, pain, but you endure it. You do your duty. You let your husband have his rights, and you don't complain. Don't refuse. That's what wives do. That's what I had to do. William was not unkind, not rough, but he wasn't gentle either. He did what men do, what husbands do, and I endured it, like my mother said, like she'd endured it. It hurt. It was uncomfortable, invasive, strange, but it was over quickly. And then William rolled over, went to sleep, and I lay there in the dark, in this strange bed, in this strange room, with this strange man who was now my husband, and I cried, quietly, so he wouldn't hear, cried for my childhood, for my lost innocence, for the life I'd never have, for the girl I'd been, for everything that was gone now, gone forever. I was a woman now, a wife, soon to be a mother probably, and there was no going back. This was my life now. This was all it would ever be. I got pregnant right away. Within the first month, my courses stopped. My breasts got tender. I felt sick in the mornings. I knew, even before I told William, even before I went to see old Mrs. Bailey, who served as midwife. I knew there was a baby growing inside me. William's baby. My baby. I was going to be a mother. At 14 years old, I was going to be a mother. I was scared, terrified, really. I'd seen what childbirth did to women, seen my mother's aftermath, heard stories of women who died, who bled out, who pushed for days and days only to birth a dead baby, or to die themselves, leaving orphans behind. It was dangerous. We all knew it. Every woman feared it. But there was no avoiding it. If you were married, if you lay with your husband, babies came. That's just how it was. And you hoped, prayed, that you'd survive, that the baby would survive, that you'd both come through it. But there were no guarantees, no safety, just hope and prayer and the mercy of God. My mother came to see me when she heard, came to the rooms above the bakery, looked around, assessed. Her face showed nothing. No approval, no disapproval. Just that blank, stern expression she always had. I told her I was expecting. She nodded. Asked when. I told her spring, probably. April or May. She nodded again, said she'd come when my time came, help with the birth, make sure I was all right. It was the closest thing to kindness she'd shown me in years, this offer to help, to be there. I wanted to feel grateful, wanted to feel that maybe she cared after all. But I couldn't. All I felt was obligation, duty. She was doing what mothers do, what was expected. Not because she loved me, not because she wanted to, but because it was her role, her responsibility. That's all. The months of pregnancy were hard. I was sick a lot, couldn't keep food down. Everything smelled wrong, tasted wrong, made me nauseous. I was tired all the time, so tired, but I still had to work, keep house, cook for William, wash his clothes, do all the things a wife does. There was no rest, no time off for being pregnant. You just did what you had to do, and you didn't complain. William was good about it, mostly. Didn't expect me to do anything too strenuous. Would help sometimes. Fetch water, carry heavy things. He was trying to be a good husband. And he was. He was decent, kind even. But I didn't love him. Didn't feel that rush of feeling that the romantic novels talked about, that the songs sung about. I liked him well enough, was grateful to him. But love? No, I don't think I loved him. Maybe I didn't know how. Maybe my mother's coldness had frozen something in me, made me unable to feel that warmth, that connection. I don't know, but I did my duty, was a good wife, a faithful wife, and he seemed content with that, seemed not to notice or mind that I didn't adore him, didn't gaze at him with worship and devotion. He had what he wanted, a wife, a home, a baby coming. That was enough. My daughter was born in May of 1857, on a warm spring day. The windows were open, curtains moving in the breeze. I labored for a day and a night. My mother was there, Mrs. Bailey too. They coached me, told me when to push, when to breathe, when to bear down. It hurt worse than anything I'd ever felt, worse than I imagined. I screamed, cried, begged for it to stop, begged God to let it end. But it didn't end, not for hours and hours. And then finally, the baby came, slipped out in a rush of blood and fluid, and Mrs. Bailey caught her, held her up, said it's a girl, a healthy girl, and she cried, that sharp newborn cry. And I cried too, from relief, from exhaustion, from the sheer overwhelming fact that I'd survived. I'd done it, brought a life into the world, and we were both alive, both here. They cleaned her up, wrapped her in a blanket my mother had brought, laid her on my chest. She was so small, so red, her face all scrunched up, her little fists waving, her little mouth open and searching. I looked down at her, this tiny person I'd made, this little girl, and I felt something, something fierce and protective and overwhelming. Love. I loved her. Instantly. Completely. More than I'd ever loved anything or anyone. This was my daughter, my baby, and I would die for her, kill for her, do anything to keep her safe, to keep her happy, to give her a good life, a better life than I'd had. That's what I promised her in that moment. Lying there exhausted and bleeding and aching, I promised her silently, I will love you. I will always love you. I will be the mother I never had. Warm, tender, kind. You will know you are wanted. Know you are precious. Know you are loved. I will never be cold to you. Never cruel. Never make you feel small or worthless or unwanted. I promise. I promise you this. We named her Clara. Clara Jane Fletcher. My little Clara. My precious girl. William was pleased. A healthy baby. His daughter. He held her. Looked at her with wonder. With pride. With love. And I felt something shift in me. Something soften toward him. He was a good man. A good father already, I could tell. Maybe I could learn to love him. Maybe with time and patience in this shared bond of our daughter. Maybe love would come. Maybe we could be happy. Maybe this little family we'd made could be something real, something good, something more than just duty and obligation and going through the motions. Maybe. My mother stayed with us for a few days after the birth, helped with the house, with the cooking, showed me how to nurse Clara, how to change her, how to swaddle her. She was efficient, competent, but still cold, still distant. She didn't coo over Clara the way I thought grandmothers were supposed to. Didn't hold her longer than necessary. Didn't seem particularly interested in her. Just did what needed doing. Made sure I was healing properly. Made sure Claire was feeding. Made sure the house was in order. Then she left, went back to her own house, her own husband, her own life. And I was alone again. Me and William and baby Clara. Our little family. Those early days were hard. Clara cried a lot. Didn't sleep much. I was exhausted. My body hurt. My breasts hurt. Everything hurt. But I pushed through. Did what needed doing, because that's what mothers do. And I was determined to be a good mother. A better mother than mine had been. I held Clara, rocked her, sang to her, talked to her, even when I was tired, even when I wanted to cry myself. I gave her warmth, gave her love, gave her everything I hadn't gotten. And slowly, slowly, things got better, easier. Clara started sleeping longer stretches, started smiling, started being a person. A little personality emerging. She was beautiful, perfect, everything I'd ever wanted, everything I'd ever needed. She made my life make sense, made all the hard things worth it, the difficult marriage, the poverty, the endless work. All of it was worth it because I had her, because she was mine. Because I could love her the way I'd needed to be loved. William loved her too, would come home from the mill covered in flour dust, but he'd wash up, hold Clara, play with her, make her laugh. He was gentle with her, patient, kind. I watched him with her and felt grateful. Grateful he was her father. Grateful she'd have what I'd had. A kind father. A soft place to land when the world was hard. That mattered. That meant something. When Clara was 6 months old, I got pregnant again. Hadn't planned on it happening so fast. But it did. William was pleased. Hoped for a son this time. A boy to carry on his name. To work with him someday. To be his legacy. I just hoped for a healthy baby. Boy or girl, didn't matter to me. Just healthy. Just alive. After seeing what childbirth cost. What it took from women. I didn't take anything for granted. Didn't assume everything would be fine. Just hoped. Prayed. Did my best. My second pregnancy was harder than the first. I had Clara to look after. A baby who needed me. Who couldn't understand why Mama was tired. Why Mama was sick. Why Mama couldn't pick her up as much. I struggled to keep up with everything, keep house, care for Clara, grow this new baby inside me, work myself to exhaustion every day. But I managed. Women always manage. We do what we have to do. What choice do we have? My son was born in the summer of 1858, another long labor, another day and night of pain. But he came, healthy and strong and howling. William was overjoyed. A son. He had a son. He held him, beamed, looked at me with something like love, something like gratitude. Said I'd given him everything, a daughter, a son, a family. He was a lucky man, the luckiest man. And maybe in that moment he meant it. Maybe in that moment he did love me. I'd given him what he wanted most, what all men wanted, a son, an heir, someone to carry on. That was valuable. That made me valuable, at least for that moment. We named him James, James William Fletcher, Little James, Little Jamie. He was different from Clara. Louder, more demanding, harder to soothe, but I loved him just as fiercely, just as completely. 2 children now, 2 little people depending on me, needing me, loving me. It was overwhelming, exhausting, beautiful, terrifying, everything all at once. The years passed. Clara and James grew. I had 2 more children, another daughter, another son, 4 children in 6 years. My body was exhausted, worn down, used up. But I was happy in a way, had purpose, had meaning, had these little people I loved more than life itself. They were everything to me, everything I lived for. I poured into them all the love I'd never received, all the tenderness, all the warmth, all the affection. I held them, hugged them, kissed them, told them I loved them every day, multiple times a day. Made sure they knew, made sure they felt it, that they were wanted, precious, beloved. They would never doubt, never wonder, never feel that cold absence I'd grown up with. I'd make sure of it. My mother would visit sometimes, see her grandchildren, but she was the same with them as she'd been with me, distant, uninterested. She'd hold a baby if I asked, but never offered, never reached for them, never seemed to take joy in them. My children noticed. Even young as they were, they noticed. Clara once asked me why Grandma doesn't smile, why Grandma doesn't hug her like other grandmas did. I didn't know what to say, how to explain, so I just said Grandma has a lot on her mind. Grandma works very hard. Grandma shows love in different ways. But inside I was angry. Angry that my mother couldn't unbend even for her grandchildren. Couldn't show them warmth. Couldn't give them what she'd never given me. It wasn't fair. They deserved better. We all deserved better. Then the war came, the Civil War, started in 1861. By then I had my 4 children. Clara was 4, James was 3, Margaret was 2. Little William was a baby, just born. The war felt far away at first, something happening in other places, to other people. But it crept closer, touched us, touched everyone. William tried to enlist, felt it was his duty, but they turned him away, said he had too many children, was needed at home, was more valuable keeping the mill running, making flour for the troops, for the people. So he stayed, worked harder than ever, long hours, grueling work, but at least he was home, alive, not off fighting, not risking death, not leaving me a widow with 4 small children. I was grateful for that, selfishly grateful. But others went, men from our town, our church, our neighbors. They went off to fight, and some came back, broken, missing limbs, missing parts of their minds, haunted, changed, and some didn't come back at all, died in battles with names we could barely pronounce, in places we'd never heard of, for causes we didn't fully understand. It was a dark time, a hard time. Food was scarce, money was worthless, everything cost more, everything was harder to get. We made do, stretched everything, made a little go a long way, but it was hard, so hard, and the worry, the constant worry, that things would get worse, that the war would come here, that we'd lose everything. It hung over us, over everyone, like a dark cloud that never lifted. My father died during the war in 1863. He'd been sick for a while, something wrong with his lungs, couldn't breathe right, coughed all the time, brought up blood. The doctor couldn't do anything, said his lungs were failing, probably from all the years of farm work, all the dust, all the strain, said to make him comfortable. That was all anyone could do. So my mother did, nursed him, sat with him, in their little house, the house I'd grown up in, and slowly he faded, got weaker, thinner, paler. Until one morning he just didn't wake up, passed in his sleep, peacefully, the doctor said, without suffering at the end. That was something. That was a blessing. We buried him in the church cemetery, simple grave, simple service. A lot of people came. My father had been well liked, respected, a good man, a hard worker. People said kind things, shared memories, offered condolences. My mother stood dry-eyed through it all, grim-faced, silent, accepting sympathy with a nod, a tight thank you, no tears, no visible grief. but she'd loved him, I think, in her way. He'd been her companion for over 30 years, the father of her only child, her partner in survival. His loss had to hurt, had to leave a hole, but she didn't show it, wouldn't show it. That wasn't her way. She locked it inside, carried it alone, like she carried everything. After the funeral, I asked her what she'd do. Would she stay in the house? Could she manage alone? She said she'd be fine. The landlord said she could stay, keep working the garden, keep the chickens, in exchange for reduced rent. She'd manage. She always had. She didn't need help, didn't want my pity. She was strong, capable. She'd survive, like always. That was all she said, all she'd allow. I wanted to reach out, to comfort her, to bridge that gap between us. But I didn't know how, didn't know if she'd accept it. So I just nodded, said all right. If she needed anything at all, she should ask. She nodded back, said she would. But I knew she wouldn't. She'd never ask for help, never admit need, never let anyone see weakness. That wasn't who she was. That's not how she'd survived this long. The war ended in 1865. Finally, after 4 long, bloody years, Lee surrendered. The fighting stopped. People talked about reconstruction, about rebuilding, about putting the country back together. But nothing changed much for us. We were still poor, still struggling, still working every day just to survive. But at least the war was over. At least that shadow had lifted. That was something. My children grew. Clara started school. She was smart, quick, loved to learn, reminded me of myself at that age. That hunger for knowledge, for something more. I encouraged her, helped with her lessons, read with her. I wanted her to have what I'd barely gotten, an education, a chance. Maybe she could be a teacher someday. That was a respectable profession for a woman, one of the few. She could make her own money, have independence, not have to rely on a husband entirely. I planted that seed, nurtured it, hoped it would grow. James was different, not interested in books, not interested in sitting still. He wanted to be outside, moving, working with his hands. He helped his father at the mill sometimes, seemed to like it, the physicality of it, the realness. William said he'd make a good miller someday, could take over the business eventually. That was a good future, a secure future. I was glad for that. Glad my children would have opportunities, would have more than I'd had, than William had had. That's what we worked for, sacrificed for, to give them more, to give them better. Then it happened. The thing I've been circling around, the thing I've been building to, the thing that broke whatever fragile connection I had with my mother, the thing I've never forgiven, never been able to let go of, even after all these years, even now, sitting here, an old woman, telling this story to strangers with their recording machine. Even now it hurts. Even now I feel the anger, the betrayal, the grief, fresh as the day it happened, raw as an open wound. It was 1866. spring, April. Clara was 9 years old, my sweet Clara, my firstborn, my precious girl. She'd been feeling poorly for a few days, had a cough, a fever. I wasn't too worried at first. Children get sick. It's what they do. You dose them with whatever remedies you have. Put them to bed. Keep them warm. They usually get better. That's what I expected, what I hoped. But Clara didn't get better. She got worse. The cough got deeper, wetter. She couldn't catch her breath. Her fever went higher. She was burning up, delirious, calling out for me, for her father, saying things that didn't make sense. I was scared, more scared than I'd ever been. This wasn't just a cold. This was something serious, something dangerous. I sent William for the doctor, Dr. Harris. He came, examined Clara, listened to her chest, looked grave, said it was pneumonia. Her lungs were filling with fluid. She was very sick, very weak. He gave me medicine, told me what to do. Keep her warm, keep her hydrated, try to get the fever down with cool cloths, keep her comfortable, and pray. That was all anyone could do. The medicine might help, might not. It was in God's hands now. Then he left me with my dying daughter. Because that's what she was. I could see it, could feel it. Clara was dying. My baby was dying. And I was helpless, completely helpless. There was nothing I could do, nothing but watch and wait and pray and beg God to spare her, to take me instead, to do anything but take my Clara. I sent word to my mother, told her Clara was very sick, very bad. Thought she'd want to know, thought maybe she'd come, help me, sit with me. But she didn't come. Not that day, not the next. I was too consumed with Clara to think much about it, to feel hurt by it. All my focus was on my daughter, on trying to keep her alive, trying to will her to live. I barely slept, barely ate, just sat by her bed, held her hot little hand, wiped her face, changed the cold cloths, talked to her, sang to her, begged her to fight, to hold on, to not leave me. Please, Clara. Please, baby, don't go. Stay with me. I need you. You have to stay. You have to fight. Please. William was there, too. When he wasn't at the mill, he'd sit with me, with Clara, hold her other hand, pray, cry. We both cried and prayed and hoped. But Clara just got worse. We could only watch, only be there. Only we could only watch, only be there, only love her while we still could. On the third day, my mother finally came, walked in like nothing was wrong, like her granddaughter wasn't dying in the next room. I met her at the door, desperate, grateful she'd finally come. I told her how bad Clara was, how scared I was, how much I needed her support, her help, her comfort. And do you know what she said? Do you know what my mother said to me in that moment? She said Clara would be fine. It was just a sickness. Children get sick. She'd get better. And even if she didn't, even if God took her, well, that was his will. We had to accept God's will. And I still had 3 other children, 3 healthy children. I should be grateful for that, should focus on them, not waste all my energy on one sick child. There was work to be done, a house to keep, other children to care for. Life went on, even when people died. Life went on, and I needed to accept that. Needed to be strong, not fall apart, not give in to weakness and despair. I stared at her, couldn't believe what I was hearing, couldn't process it. My daughter was dying, my Clara, my precious girl, and my mother was telling me to accept it, to move on, to focus on my other children, like Clara didn't matter, like losing her would be no great loss, like she was expendable, replaceable. How could she say that? How could any mother say that? Any grandmother? How could she be so cold, so heartless, so cruel? I asked her. How can you say that? How can you talk about Clara like she doesn't matter? Like losing her would be nothing? She's your granddaughter, your flesh and blood. How can you be so cold? Don't you care? Don't you feel anything? And my mother looked at me with those hard, cold eyes, that stern, disapproving face, and she said, I care. I care about you, about your family, about you surviving this, about you being strong enough to go on, because you will go on, with or without Clara. Life doesn't stop for death. Grief doesn't excuse you from your duties, from your responsibilities. You have a husband, other children. They need you. They need you to be strong, to hold things together, not fall apart, not wallow in grief and despair. That's what I'm trying to teach you, what I've always tried to teach you. Life is hard. People die. You survive. You do what you have to do. You don't have the luxury of falling apart. None of us do. So yes, I hope Clara lives. I pray she lives. But if she doesn't, you'll survive it. You'll go on. Because you have to. Because that's what we do. I felt something break inside me in that moment. Something snap. All the years of coldness, of distance, of that absence of love. It all came crashing down. All the hurt, all the resentment, all the anger I'd been holding in, trying to forgive, trying to understand. It erupted. I screamed at her, told her to get out of my house, get out of my sight. I didn't want her here, didn't need her here. If all she could offer was coldness and lectures about duty and strength, then she could leave, go back to her empty house, her empty life, her empty heart, because that's what she had, an empty heart, a heart that had never loved anything, never felt anything. She'd never loved me, never loved my father, never loved her grandchildren. She wasn't capable of love, only duty, only survival, only that grim determination to endure. And I was done with it, done with her, done trying to win her approval, her affection, her love. She didn't have it to give, and I didn't want it anymore. Didn't want anything from her. Just wanted her gone, out of my house, out of my life, forever. My mother stood there, her face showing nothing, like I hadn't just screamed at her, told her I hated her, told her to leave. She just looked at me with those cold eyes, that stern face, and she said, fine, if that's what I wanted. If I wanted to be weak, to give in to emotion, to rage and scream like a child, fine. She'd leave. She'd go. But I'd regret it. I'd regret turning my back on family, on my own mother. I'd regret choosing feeling over duty. I'd see. Someday, I'd see. And I'd be sorry. But it would be too late then, just like everything else. Too late. Then she turned, walked to the door, opened it, walked through, closed it behind her, and she was gone. And I stood there shaking, crying, filled with rage and grief and something like relief, because she was gone, finally gone, and I never had to see her again, never had to feel that coldness, that disapproval, that absence of love. I was free of her, finally free, but Clara, my Clara, she wasn't free. She was still dying, still struggling for every breath, still burning with fever, still slipping away from me. And I went back to her, sat by her bed, held her hand, and I stayed there through that night, through the next day, through another night. Didn't leave, didn't sleep, just stayed with her, loved her, was there, like a mother should be, like my mother never was. I was there. Clara died on the morning of the fourth day, April 18th, 1866. The sun was just coming up, light coming through the window, soft morning light. She took a breath, let it out, and didn't take another. Just stopped, just left her little body behind, left me behind, left everything behind. She was gone. My baby was gone. 9 years old. Just 9 years old. And she was gone. I don't remember much about the days that followed. It's all a blur. A gray, painful blur. The funeral, the burial, people coming, saying things, offering sympathy, food, help, William crying, the other children confused, scared, asking where Clara was, when she was coming back, and having to tell them, having to explain that she wasn't coming back, that she was with Jesus now, in heaven, and we'd see her again someday, but not now, not for a long time, and them crying, all of us crying, the house full of grief, full of loss, full of that awful absence where Clara used to be. My mother didn't come to the funeral, didn't send word, didn't acknowledge Clara's death in any way. Just silence. Nothing. Like my daughter hadn't existed, hadn't mattered. Like our family's grief was none of her concern. Some people asked where she was, why she wasn't there. I said she was sick, couldn't come. It was easier than explaining, easier than saying we'd had a falling out, that I'd thrown her out, told her to leave, that we weren't speaking, weren't family anymore. So I lied, said she was sick, and people accepted it, offered to take her food, check on her. I said no need. She was managing. She'd be fine. And they left it at that. Months passed. The grief didn't get better, didn't fade, just changed. Became something I carried, like a weight on my chest, making it hard to breathe, hard to live. I went through the motions, took care of my remaining children, took care of William, kept house, cooked, cleaned, did all the things I was supposed to do. But I felt dead inside, empty, like Clara had taken some essential part of me with her, the part that knew how to be happy, how to hope, how to love without fear. That part was gone, dead, buried with my daughter. William tried to comfort me, told me it would get better, that God had a plan, that Claire was in a better place, free from suffering, free from pain. And maybe that was true. Maybe she was better off. But I wasn't. I was here, in this painful world, without her. And it hurt. It hurt every moment of every day. And I didn't know if I could survive it. Didn't know if I wanted to. I thought about my mother sometimes, about what she'd said, about being strong, about going on, about duty and responsibility. And I hated her for it. Hated her for being right in a way, because I did go on. I did survive. Not because I was strong, but because I had no choice. Because my other children needed me. Because William needed me. Because life kept happening whether I wanted it to or not. So I went on. I survived. But I hated her for it. Hated her for her coldness, her hardness, her lack of comfort when I needed it most, for telling me to accept Clara's death, to move on, to focus on what I had left. How could she say that? How could any mother say that to her grieving daughter? It was unforgivable. Unforgivable. I heard about her sometimes, through neighbors, through people at church. She was still living in the same house, still keeping her garden, her chickens, still surviving, alone, as hard and cold as ever. Some people said I should make peace with her, said family was family, said life was too short to hold grudges, to stay angry, that I should forgive, move on, be the bigger person. But I couldn't, wouldn't. What she'd done, what she'd said, in my darkest moment, in my greatest pain, it was too much, too cruel. I couldn't forgive it, wouldn't forgive it, ever. Years passed, 1867, 1868, 1869. Time kept moving. My children grew. I had another baby, another daughter, named her Mary, not Clara, never Clara. That name was sacred, belonged to my lost girl, my angel. No one else could have it. Mary was a good baby, healthy, strong. I loved her. Of course I loved her, but differently, carefully, with fear, because now I knew how easily they could be taken, how fragile life was, how quickly everything could change. So I loved her, but held something back. Some part of myself I couldn't give anymore. Couldn't risk losing again. It wasn't fair to Mary. Wasn't her fault. But I couldn't help it. Couldn't be the mother I'd been before. Before Clara died. Before I learned how much it hurt to lose a child. Before I understood that love came with the risk of unbearable pain. In 1870, I heard my mother was sick. Mrs. Peterson from church told me, said she'd been by to check on her. Found her in bed, feverish, weak, coughing. Asked if I knew, if I'd been by to see her, help her. I said no. We weren't speaking, weren't close. Mrs. Peterson looked shocked, said, "But she's your mother, your only parent left. You should see her. Make peace before it's too late. Life's too short for feuds, for family rifts. You'll regret it if she dies and you haven't reconciled. You'll carry that regret forever. Trust her." She knew. She'd lost family while still angry, still hurt. And the regret was worse than whatever they'd fought about. Much worse. So I should go, should visit, should make peace while there was still time. Part of me wanted to. Part of me felt that pull, that obligation, that voice saying she's your mother, she's sick, she might die. You should go, should be there, should set aside your anger, your hurt, be the better person. But the other part, the louder part, the part that remembered her coldness, her cruelty, her standing in my house while my daughter was dying and telling me to accept it, to move on, to be strong. That part said no, no. She didn't deserve my forgiveness, didn't deserve my comfort, didn't deserve anything from me. Let her be alone. Let her suffer like she made me suffer, like she made Clara suffer by not caring, by not loving us. Let her die alone. It's what she deserves. It's what she's earned. A cold, lonely death to match her cold, lonely life. So I didn't go, didn't visit, didn't send word. Just let it be. Let her manage alone like she'd always claimed she wanted, like she'd always insisted she could do. I heard she recovered, got better, was up and about again, back to her garden, her chickens, her hard solitary life, and I felt nothing, no relief, no guilt, nothing. I'd closed that door, locked it, thrown away the key. She was nothing to me now, no longer my mother, just a woman I used to know, used to live with, used to fear and resent and try to please, but no more, never again. More years passed. I had one more child, a son, named him Robert. 6 children total, 5 living, 1 in heaven. That's how I thought of it. 5 here, 1 there, waiting for me. Someday I'd see her again. Someday Claire and I would be reunited. That's what I told myself, what I held on to, the promise of heaven, of seeing her again, of holding her, of never being parted again. That's what kept me going, that hope, that promise, that belief that death wasn't the end, wasn't forever, just a separation, a temporary parting. And someday we'd be together again. My children grew up. Clara would have been grown too, would have been a young woman by the 1870s, would have maybe married, had children of her own, made me a grandmother. I thought about that sometimes, about who she would have been, what she would have done, the life she would have lived. But it was just fantasy, just imagination, just painful what-ifs that had no answer, no reality. She was gone, would always be gone. And I had to live with that, had to live in a world without her. It never got easier, never stopped hurting, just became familiar, something I knew how to carry, how to function with, but it never stopped hurting. In 1878, I heard my mother was dying, for real this time, not just sick, but dying. She was 70 years old, had lived a long, hard life, and now it was ending. Mrs. Peterson came to tell me, said I should go, say goodbye, make peace. It was my last chance, my only chance. After this, it would be too late, forever too late. Did I really want that? Did I really want my mother to die with this rift between us, this anger, this unforgiveness? Think about it. Think carefully. Then decide. But decide soon, because there wasn't much time. Maybe days, maybe less. So if I was going to go, if I was going to make peace, it had to be now, had to be soon, before it was too late. I thought about it. For all of an hour I thought about it, wrestled with it. Part of me wanted to go, wanted to be dutiful, to do the right thing, to forgive, to let go of the anger, to be there, to hold her hand, to say goodbye, to tell her I forgave her, even if I didn't really, even if I couldn't, just to give her that peace, that comfort, so she didn't die alone, didn't die believing her daughter hated her. That's what the good part of me wanted, the part that remembered I was supposed to be better than her, supposed to be warm, loving, kind, the mother I wished I'd had. If I could be that mother to my children, why couldn't I be that daughter to my mother? Why couldn't I rise above, be better, choose love over anger, choose forgiveness over resentment? Why couldn't I do that? But I couldn't. I tried. I really tried. But every time I thought about going, about seeing her, about sitting by her deathbed, all I could see was Clara. Clara dying while my mother stood there cold and unmoved. Clara being dismissed, being treated like she didn't matter, like her death would be no great loss, and the anger would rise up, hot and fierce and unforgiving. And I'd think, no, I won't go. I won't forgive. I won't give her what she didn't give me, what she didn't give Clara. Comfort, love, caring. She can die alone, just like she lived, alone, cold, hard. It's fitting. It's right. It's what she deserves. And I won't feel guilty, won't regret it. She made her choices. I'm making mine. And my choice is to stay away, to let her go, to never see her again. Not in this life. Maybe not in the next. That's my choice. And I'm at peace with it. So I didn't go. Stayed home, went about my business, my life, my children, my husband. And 3 days later, Mrs. Peterson came again. Told me my mother had died. Passed in her sleep, peacefully, without pain. She was sorry for my loss. Sorry I hadn't made it in time. Hadn't gotten to say goodbye. It was a shame, a real shame. But at least she hadn't suffered. At least it was quick. That was something. That was a blessing. She patted my hand, offered to help with arrangements, with the funeral, whatever I needed. She was there. The church was there. We'd get through this together. That's what community was for. That's what family of believers did. We took care of each other in times of grief, in times of loss. We were there for each other. I thanked her, said I appreciated it, said I'd let her know about arrangements. Then she left, and I sat there, sat in my kitchen, in my house, and I waited to feel something, grief, sadness, regret, something, but I felt nothing, nothing at all. My mother was dead, the woman who'd given birth to me, raised me, formed me, for better or worse. She was gone, and I felt nothing. That was her legacy. That was what she'd left behind. That was her legacy. That was what she'd given me, what she'd given the world. Coldness, hardness, survival without joy, without love, without warmth. That's what she'd been. That's what she'd left. And now she was gone. And I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. We buried her next to my father in the church cemetery. Simple service, simple grave. Not many people came. She hadn't been close to many, hadn't let people in, hadn't been the kind of person who made connections, who built relationships. She'd been solitary, isolated. By choice or by nature, I don't know. But that's how she'd been. And that's how her funeral was. Small, quiet, sparse. A handful of neighbors, some church folk, doing their duty, showing respect, but no grief, no real sorrow, just obligation, just ritual, just going through the motions, like she'd gone through the motions of living, never really connecting, never really being present, just surviving, just enduring, until she didn't anymore, until she stopped, and then she was gone, and the world barely noticed, barely cared, because she'd never let anyone close enough to care, never let anyone in enough to grieve her passing. I stood at her grave, watched them lower the coffin, throw dirt on top, cover her up, bury her, make her gone forever. And I felt that same nothing, that same emptiness, no tears, no grief, no regret, just nothing. And I thought maybe I should feel guilty about that, about not feeling anything, about not crying for my mother, not grieving, not regretting how we'd parted, how I'd never made peace, never forgiven, never seen her before she died. Maybe I should feel terrible about that. Maybe I should feel like a bad daughter, a bad person, a hard, cold woman just like her. But I didn't. I didn't feel guilty, didn't feel bad, just felt that same nothing, that absence where feeling should be. And I accepted it, accepted that this was who I was now, who she'd made me, who loss and pain and anger had made me, hard, cold, unforgiving, just like her. I'd become her, the very thing I'd sworn I'd never be, but I had. I'd become my mother, and I didn't even care, didn't even regret it, just accepted it, just carried it, just lived with it, like I lived with everything else, the grief, the loss, the anger, the emptiness, all of it. I just carried it, survived it, went on, like she'd taught me, like she'd always said I would. Life goes on. People die. You survive. You endure. You do what you have to do. That's what she'd said. That's what she'd taught me. And she was right. God help me, she was right. I survived, I endured, I went on, without love, without warmth, without forgiveness, just surviving, just going through the motions, just existing, like her, just like her. That was 30 years ago now. 30 years since my mother died, since I buried her, since I stood at her grave and felt nothing. And you know what? I still feel nothing. Still no regret. Still no guilt. Still no wish I'd done things different. Made peace. Forgiven her. Been there when she died. I don't regret it. Don't wish I'd acted different. Don't think I was wrong. She was cruel to me in my darkest moment, in my greatest pain. And I don't have to forgive that. Don't have to let it go. Don't have to rise above it. I can hold on to it, carry it, let it define me, let it make me hard, cold, unforgiving, just like her. That's my choice. That's my right. And I don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel bad. Don't think I'm a terrible person. I'm just a person who was hurt, who was failed by the one person who should have loved me, should have protected me, should have been there, and she wasn't. And I don't forgive that. Won't forgive it. Not now, not ever, not even in death. She's gone, has been gone 30 years, and I still don't forgive her. Still carry the anger, the resentment, the hurt, and I probably will until I die, until I'm in my own grave, next to her maybe, if they bury me in the family plot, next to my mother who I never forgave, who I hated even in death. That's who I am. That's what I've become, and I accept it. I own it. I don't apologize for it. This is me. This is my truth. I never forgave my mother, and I never will. I'm old now, 70 years old, same age my mother was when she died. I've lived a long life, had 6 children, lost one, have grandchildren now, great-grandchildren even. I've survived so much, seen so much, been through so much. Loss, pain, war, poverty, sickness, death, all of it. And I'm still here, still surviving, still going on, like my mother taught me, like she modeled, endurance, survival, going on no matter what. That's what I learned from her. That's what she gave me. Not love, not warmth, not comfort, but survival. The ability to endure anything, to keep going, to never give up, to never stop, to never let pain break you. That's what she taught me. And I learned it well. Learned it too well, maybe, because I've survived, but at what cost? I'm hard, cold, unable to love properly, unable to be soft, to be tender, to be forgiven. I'm just like her, despite swearing I'd never be, despite promising myself I'd be different, be better, be warm. I became her anyway. Maybe that's genetics. Maybe that's learned behavior. Maybe that's just what pain does to people. Makes them hard, makes them cold, makes them unable to feel, to connect, to love without fear. I don't know, but I know I'm like her, more like her than I ever wanted to.